Aaron Stelle here with West, and I'm honored today to be sitting down with Kim Gellatly with Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices. She's one of the top producing agents here in the Portland market, has been doing this for a very long time. And I just want to start out by saying thank you so much for joining here, Kim.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for chatting with me, Aaron.
Yeah, so, the first thing I always like to find out, and what's always interesting to me is as this whole coronavirus, COVID, quarantine, whatever you want to call it thing has progressed, what have you seen or what have you had to change inside of your business?
Good question. I feel like, naturally I tend to be pretty high touch, high communication with my clients. But even with that, I have had to really double down on that. So, by reaching out to my current buyers and sellers who are in contract, even like 6 times a week. Just checking in, getting their pulse, getting how they're feeling too. Really just very high communication. Without meeting people face to face, things like this, like Zoom, has been awesome to be able to just see my clients, see their facial expressions, see if they're worried about their house that isn't selling, or if they're going, no, it's okay. I think we're doing okay. So definitely that. One big thing that I've changed with my sellers, new sellers, is I've actually started coming to listing appointments, be it on Zoom or still in person with a mask on, coming with 2 CMAs, so 2 different market analyses. One that's for about 6 months, the typical market analysis, here's what's been going on the last 6 months in your specific neighborhood. And then another that says, this is the last 7.5 weeks. So right when COVID started to today, almost 8 weeks ago, since the shelter in place in Oregon started, this is what's going on right now. And it's been so helpful for my sellers and myself to see what's been going on and then how quickly that's changed, sometimes for the better, sometimes more challenging. And that's really helped me, I feel like, to win some listings recently and just be a great resource to my sellers.
Yeah, and that's actually a really interesting point, is that, as this has progressed, we sort of chatted a little bit offline, and it is something that literally changes by the weekly. It's something that maybe like at the beginning it was one thing, and now it's something completely different. And you'd even mentioned, wearing masks and things like that. What when you sit down and talk with your sellers and you're having the conversations with them, what are the things you're saying now?
Very much. Every property is so different. So for instance, some of my sellers who have been on the market that haven't sold, I set up a call with each one of them. And some of them I've said, okay, we literally have 18 other listings we're competing with right now. We are heavily saturated in your specific neighborhood. We're really going to need to do a price reduction. Other sellers, I met with a seller over the phone last week where I looked at the last 8 weeks and not one other home had gone pending in her neighborhood during COVID. So that told me it's not a price issue with her home, it's more a lack of buyers. So I actually encouraged her not to take a price reduction, that we just needed to sit tight. And we've had amazing activity just in the last 2 weeks. I would say the last 2 weeks is definitely been a shift. When the first part of the shelter in place started, I'll be honest with you, I didn't even really touch on data because there wasn't data. It was just all real time. And so with my sphere and my clients, I mainly was just trying to provide resources. So for instance, I started doing Zoom Facebook Live meetings, which is totally out of my comfort zone, but I brought in my sister-in-law as a naturopath, and I did a Zoom meeting with her that was all about natural ways to reduce stress. And that was nice. So helpful, and for myself and my sphere. And then the next week I brought in my financial planner, and I asked him, interviewed him, if you were invested in the stock market right now, what would be your advice to my clients who are? And that was hugely helpful. And then last week I brought in a leadership coach, and I said, help, whether you're a leader in business or you're a leader, a mom and dad, a leader of your family, help coach us on how we should lead during this. So I actually the first few weeks took real estate a little out of my marketing and really focused on what I felt my clients needed, which was just immediate help in life.
Well, and I think that's a great point. And I know, like, traditionally a lot of your marketing methods are, highly relational. It's events, it's face to face, and it sounds like you just, sort of taken that same mentality but moved it digitally. Is that kind of what your plan is? Are you still planning on doing events, or what do you see yourself doing there?
I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm not super tech savvy, so I joke around with other agents in my office. I mean, like, I'm an 80-year-old trapped in a 37-year-old's brain. Like, I'm the only person who has an iPhone to just call someone. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I feel like I'm not a quick pivoter. I'm not one to quickly change. So when shelter in place and COVID really started, it took me about 2 or 3 weeks. I was to really pivot my business. I was so in awe of other agents and restaurants and businesses who just changed very quickly and just grabbed everything and shifted it to help them survive during this time. And I feel like for me, it was more, I had to step back. I had to take it all in, learn from a lot of agents. And I hope to bring a lot of my new admiration of technology out of this, but we shall see.
Well, that's something I always find interesting, and throughout all the times that we've worked together, one thing that we've always talked about is you're very much a systems and a regimen person. You do the same things, and you're very systematic about your approach, and that's what keeps that consistent level of service. So, like, what are the things that you're looking at now that you're like, okay, this was sort of forced upon me, but now it's going to be something that I'm just going to keep and I'm going to use on a go forward basis?
So definitely the Zoom meetings. I mean, for me, just that personal connection is so important with my clients, and I had to get creative. Like, I love doing 2 to 3 client events a year. And normally this time of year, I do a client event in the spring. And so I changed and I did a client event actually last week, but it was very different. I partnered with a local Italian restaurant in the area, and I did curbside dinner pickup. So just for my past clients, they could come in, drive up. They did not have to get out of their car. I had a mask on and gloves. And at first I marketed it for 30 free lasagnas and focaccia bread. And I was shocked. Within a matter of minutes, it completely booked up. So I ended up ordering 80 lasagnas and focaccia bread. That's a lot of lasagna. And I still had a waiting list. And it was so special to me because I still got to see my clients. They came through it, with a car full of their family and got to pick up their dinner and had that personal connection that I love. But I felt like I was meeting a real need. Like I actually got emotional a few times, and my clients were just so expressive of how important and special it was that they could just take a break that night and just relax. And it was a really meaningful event.
That's awesome. Well, and you look at it from the standpoint of the restaurant stuff too. It's like, that's like, they're looking for things like that. Like, what was the process of, I guess, getting that set up ahead of time too, to make sure that they had, the ability to produce 80 lasagnas?
Good question. It was pretty much, oh, can you do 30? Great. Oh, that booked up quickly. Can you do 40? How about 60? And just kind of pushing that envelope. And then honestly, looking at the budget, I just said, okay, this is our max. I have to, because I love my people, and I don't want to exclude anyone. But there gets to be a point where I'm like, okay, I'm going to be able to buy someone a house with the cost of this. So, but they were wonderfully, wonderfully supportive, and and the wonderful thing is too, I mean, their restaurant, we put in to-go menus in each of the bags. Multiple people told me that they had never heard of the restaurant, that they planned on coming back, how delicious it was. So I felt like it really was able to support a local business too.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that's where, like, we're looking at it. It kind of depends, I guess, on where you're at right now, but like finding ways to support local business and really to put stuff into other people's buckets, which it sounds like you've been doing a ton of that. What's been the feedback from all your people based on, I mean, bringing in, you mentioned a naturopath, you mentioned a financial advisor, you mentioned like how do you keep that going, or is this just kind of like short-term entertainment, or is this something you're going to keep doing as well?
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you, Aaron, I feel like I learned it from you. I mean, I reached out to you right away and I said, oh my gosh, Aaron, what do I do? And I remember you saying, people right now, they need to be either educated or entertained, or they need to feel your empathy. And I felt like, okay, I'm not a super creative, entertaining person, put that off. But I feel like my strength is my empathy, my heart. Like I truly love people and I care for my clients. And so I decided, okay, empathy, I'm going to try to just go that road, because even though I'm getting out of my comfort zone in other areas with COVID, like my strength is my empathy. And so I've had a ball with it, just reaching out to my clients, doing contests on Facebook for my sphere to share my listing and be entered to win a Grubhub gift card and get dinner delivered to your door. So just, little things like that can really help, bind people together and have be fun too.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's what I've always appreciated about your approach has always been like through one of service and like giving before you get. With all this, like if you continue to do events and bring all these people in, like how do you even worry about transitioning that to business, or how do you like kind of make the segue into, oh, by the way, this is what I do, I sell homes, and refer me out kind of a thing?
Good question. I feel like I that seems to be on the back burner to me. Maybe I should be better about, quote unquote, asking for the referral, but it's not that important to me. Like I truly I think people know that I'm a realtor, and don't get me wrong. I mean, I have my information on my marketing, how to reach me and how to call me. With my client events, I do specifically state, I'm so thankful for you, my clients, because without you, I wouldn't be able to do events like this, and just kind of, putting it back on them and thanking them. But I think just people, they want to know you care, and that will be the lead into if they need your help or not.
Right. No, and that's awesome. So one last question, I'll let you get back to work. So what are you seeing? We talked earlier about sort of how this is constantly moving forward on almost a week by week basis. Like, what are you seeing out there?
It's been amazingly busy. I mean, I feel like first 2 to 3 weeks, there was a lot of fear, a lot of concern, and then a lot of just, okay, playing the waiting game. But I would definitely say the last 2 weeks, I mean, if you look at the showing activity alone, I'm not licensed in Washington, just in Oregon, but the last week we had an increase of 13% in showing activity. Washington increased almost 30%. I think agents, I'm just very proud of my colleagues and my friends. You've got your masks on, you've got your gloves on, you've got the hand sanitizer, the booties, and you're still working and you're serving your clients, but we're doing it safely. And so I foresee, typically in Oregon, each year the market starts early. The summer market starts in spring. But because we've had about 2 months of this shelter in place, I think our summer market is just going to have a lot of bottled demand. And I think it's going to be a busy summer.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what the indicators and stuff are showing, is that people are still excited to get going. They want to move. And this is something I know I'd mentioned kind of that might be the last question, but I have one more, because based on you saying that, like,
a bonus question.
Yeah, we're gonna go with the rapid bonus question on you. The question I have is like, so now that we've all been in our houses for a lot more than we usually are, like, are you seeing anything different from your clients as far as like what their needs and wants are when they're looking at houses?
Well, even just if they're not looking to buy a home, this time of year, the cost versus remodel statistics come out. Yeah. And because people are at home, I provided some information on just the top remodel projects, and people loved it. They're like, okay, these are things, I don't have an excuse of not having time. Like, I can stay here and I can do this. And then as far as if they are looking to purchase or sell a home, I mean, it's very serious conversations, very data driven. I feel like especially right now, I'm consuming a lot more information, because I do have people asking me, is COVID going to be the start of a huge recession in real estate? And so I feel like I'm reading a lot more, I'm educating myself a lot more with data, so I can encourage my buyers actually know, and my sellers know, this is an amazing market, supply and demand, too much demand, not enough supply, the interest rates are amazing. Like, this is an opportunity market.
Right, right. Well, Kim, I really do appreciate you taking some time to chat with me today. And as always, I respect your approach and all that you're doing. And I'm excited to hear that things are going well with you. And I love the things that you've done to just keep your business going.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you for all your support. You and WFG, you guys are awesome.
Thanks, Kim.